If you are looking to purchase your first home or seek compensation for injuries, you may get more information about the Enza Brandy Law Firm by calling 631-757-7471 or online at enzabrandylaw.com. That's ENZABRANDI law.com.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by Boston Market, where, for a limited time, Crispy Country Chicken is back, featuring an all-white meat crispy chicken breast smothered in country gravy, including 2 sides and cornbread. Boston Market has locations at 419 Old Country Road in Westbury and at 603 Hempstead Turnpike in West Hempstead. Or you can visit them online at bostonmarket.com for a location near you.
90.3 WHPC.
Winner of the 2021 Best Community College Radio Station Award from the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System.
The voice of Nassau Community College. This is the award-winning 90.3 WHPC HD Garden City.
Available on your smart speaker.
Play WHPC.
And anywhere on iHeartRadio.
Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box on this June 28th, 2021. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, as my co-host is my brother and award-winning sports writer, Timothy J. Leonard. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding, brother. How about yourself?
I'm a little disappointed. We just saw Eric Fischetti hosting the morning show on right before us, man. And, you know, if we were in the studio, we'd be making fun of him right now because he's wearing a Dodgers T-shirt. I mean,
that's why we'd be making fun of him?
Well, that's one of the many reasons. It's like when we found out Joe Ritter was a Vegas Golden Knights fan because, well, that's kind of new. And then we found out he's a Buffalo Bills fan because, as he said, they're the only New York team, true New York team, which is true, but it's not the reason I like the Bills.
I didn't mind the Buffalo Bills with Joe Ritter because it was a long-time thing, but the Vegas Golden Knights was why do you jump on that bandwagon?
And the thing about Fischetti is, you know, we're a Mets station. You know, I like the Mets. Mandrosina likes the Mets. Ron Stevens likes the Mets. Our director, Sean Novat, loves the Mets. Now, I know Tim Leonard's a Yankee fan, but he's still in the New York area.
Tim Leonard tolerates the Mets. He has no issues with the Mets, not like a lot of Yankees fans.
And then Eric Fischetti walks around with a Dodgers T-shirt. This is sad news, my friend. This is sad
back
news.
On the Zoom. I see him.
Is he coming on the air with us?
I will say this about Fischetti. I gave him credit before the show. At least what he is wearing. First of all, he said it was a gift. So you know, I mean, it might be the last clean thing. You know, it might be laundry day. But also, it's a Sandy Koufax shirt. So I'll give him props for that.
Does he even know who Sandy Koufax is?
Are you serious? Are you serious? See now, Rob, I'm a little disappointed in you because you're picking on 2 people that aren't even here to defend themselves, which was me and Joe at the time. Joe, the Vegas Golden Knights thing was a very new thing. He's like, I'm a Ranger fan. I'm going to jump on that, and figures they make it to the Cup their first year. Dodgers are like my family out west because that's when I got it. And as you guys know, I had a job lined up to go to Fox Sports LA, but unfortunately COVID hit. And just so you know, Rob, we are not a Mets station. We are a diverse station. Tim is a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan as well.
Hold it. If you want to start a conversation with people who don't know anyone at our station, let's say they all walk in, it's a Mets conversation.
No, it is not.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
I have to disagree.
I definitely disagree.
I walk into the station on Monday and say, hey, Sean, how you doing? What about the Mets this weekend?
There's a lot of Met fans. That's the only thing. There's a lot of Met fans.
What makes it a Met station.
It don't matter. WFAN is home of the Yankees. There's a ton of Met fans over there.
That's different. Yeah. That's the rights. We can't afford rights, but we like following the Mets.
I cannot work under these conditions. I'll let you guys get back to what you're doing.
Thank you. Get out of here,
Good job, Fischetti.
Get out of here. Hey, we haven't done that in a year. We haven't done any crosstalk in a year. Anyway, brother, let's start out with kind of a sad Friday.
Let's get the depression out of the way, brother. First, let's get a little bit of a show cleanse. Because I think that everybody who everybody at the station. It's a station-wide thing, brother, because it's an Islander station.
It's, of course, we're right across the street from the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which is what the name of the place was this year, by the way, brother. It wasn't the NYCB, whatever.
I don't care.
It was the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. And the reason I could tell is because it was on the ice. It said on the ice.
See that?
So anyway, let's talk about the Islanders.
We have to cleanse the depression.
Yeah, get it out
of the way, because the Islanders. I'll tell you what, proud of the Islanders. Let's state that first, and say that I am very proud of our New York Islanders and the way they battle. And I know that a lot of I've seen, especially Twitter after the game, that they felt like the Islanders didn't show up. I mean, I don't understand that, because it was obviously a very defensive game in Game 7. The Tampa Bay Lightning wound up with a 1-0 win in Game 7 on a.
It was a shorthanded goal.
Yep. Oh, I was so mad about that. But that's what happens in Game 7. That's playoff hockey. If you're especially if you're in a Game 7, you're in a must-win game. The defense is going to get ratcheted up even more, and that's what that game was. And Tampa Bay has probably the best goalie in hockey, and they relied on him and they supported him, and they said, "Hey, this is our guy. This is how we play, and this is what we're going to do." And space was hard to find, shots were hard to find. The Islanders had so many shots. Excuse me, Tom. So many shots blocked in this game. It was just absurd. But Andrei Vasilevsky showed this is why he is, as far as I'm concerned, the best. I was going to say one of, but he's the best goalie in the game. And this guy, Yanni Gord, what kind of name is that? But he scored early in the second period, got the shorthanded goal, and I was horrified and disgusted, and hoping the Islanders would come back and find a way to get the equalizer and force overtime, because we all know the Islanders own overtime, but didn't happen. And all you could do after the game is say, you know what? Hell of an effort. Wish we would have gotten at least one, because obviously you can't win the game if you don't score a goal. But I can't sit here and complain and moan and say, bemoan the fates and say that the Islanders didn't perform or didn't live up to expectations. Like I said, am I disappointed they didn't score in the game? At least give me something to cheer about in the game and say, all right, we got a shot. But the Lightning didn't allow that, and that's why they were the Stanley Cup champions last year. That's why, as far as I'm concerned, they're going to be the Stanley Cup champions again this year. I agree with that. I don't see the final against the Canadiens going more than 5 games. I think they're a far superior team to the Canadiens. So I think whatever's left of the hockey season, it isn't going to be very much.
Well, it reminds me of like in football, of the championship, NFC or AFC championship game many times is better than the Super Bowl. And this is the same way I think about the Lightning. I think the Lightning will destroy the Canadiens. Though it's nice to see, for the sake of hockey history, that the Canadiens are in the finals, because that is such an important thing for Canada and for soccer, for football.
Hockey, brother. Hockey.
I'm looking down.
You sound like Chance the Rapper, brother. Talking about hockey.
Yes, that's right. Talking about hockey. So, it's going to be, I think, a good finals. The sad part about it is that the first 2 games are on NBCSN, and the last 5 games will be on NBC. And the reason that is because of the Olympics and the late start this year. So, NBC is not giving up anything with the Olympics, because that's where they make a year's money in 2 weeks. So, I know what you're saying. Yeah. So that's their gold mine for how to make money. So, a couple of things about the series. First of all, it reminded me of the 2002 series, even though it was a first round series between the Islanders and the Maple Leafs, where every game was tough, even though the Islanders game 5 was not tough. But, went 7 games. The Maple Leafs won the series in the 7th game. And this series reminded me of that a little bit. It was just a tough series. It was nice to see game 6. I mean, game 5 was an embarrassment. Yeah,
no doubt.
It was, you don't know what happened there, because they just didn't look like they showed up at all.
Well, I mean, I know what happened. It was a series of things, and it was a situation where, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, the Islanders lost Game 5, 8-0. Yeah. And it was a series of things. It was Tampa Bay getting fortunate on a lot of shots, but it was also the freedom that comes with having a big lead. A lot of times, there are times in sports where teams can't miss, and when you have that freedom of knowing you're going to win a game because the score winds up getting so lopsided, then it happens in the NBA. It happens sometimes in baseball where in the NBA you'll shoot from 25 feet, boom, swish, no problem, and it just comes from kind of having that freedom where there's the intensity kind of leaves the building, but you're still feeling it. And in hockey, it can happen as well. And that's what happened in Game 5. Everything Tampa shot at the goal went in. And the Islanders' defensive effort was terrible. And it just got piled on. And like I said, everything the Lightning shot at the Islanders' net, whether it was Varlamov or Sorokin, down a corner, it was, off the post and in, they had a lot of really good shots, but everything, it just escalated and the Islanders kind of got disinterested. But Game 6, they came back. They got the win that they needed. Anthony Beauvillier scored the overtime goal. What was it, a minute 8 or whatever? The overtime didn't last very long.
Nope. It was one thing, Timmy. I'm watching this, and even before the goal happened, I'm watching this. I go, the Islanders are winning this game. The Islanders, I don't have the information in front of me. I want to know how many playoff games the Islanders have won in overtime. It's a long list. Well, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
The Islanders, and I don't know the exact stat on this, but I know I'm correct when I say this, is that the Islanders have the best winning percentage in overtime in NHL history. That much I know. And I'm not going to sit here and say they have the most wins because obviously the Islanders franchise only goes back to the 1970s. And the Montreal Canadiens have been around for 70 years more than the Islanders. So I'm sure the Canadiens likely are the team with the most overtime victories total, but the Islanders have the best winning percentage in overtime. So that I will hang my hat on. But that when the Islanders go to overtime, especially in the playoffs, I am a confident person because of this history. And yes, I know that. Dennis Potvin isn't coming through that door, as Rick Pitino might say. Brian Trottier isn't coming through that door. But whoever is coming through that door, they know the history, and I think it gives them a little boost of confidence. It says, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. We win these games, and that any little bit of confidence that you can find will help a team, especially in those situations. That's nervous time. Those are the times of games where some guys will play, like Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. That some guys will play that way, and other guys will play nervous and they play not to lose the game. And the Islanders typically will come out and they will be playing to win the game. And as Beauvillier showed, intercepted a pass, fired the wrist shot, a minute 8, let's go home and let's get to Game 7. Yep. And it was quick, it was sudden, and it was beautiful. But that's what the Islanders do in overtime, and I would have loved for Beauvillier's play to lead to them winning Game 7 because, like I said, once the Canadiens won the other side of this and eliminated Joe Ritter's Vegas Golden Knights, I think that whoever was going to win. The Islanders Lightning. I think that team wins the cup. So as far as I'm concerned right now, the Lightning are going to be back-to-back champions. Montreal is a very good defensive team, like the Lightning are, but I think the Lightning are a far superior team in pretty much every aspect of the game. So like I said, I don't see this series going more than 5 games.
I don't either. One more thing about the Islanders and what might be their last game or games at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. We do not know the exact opening day yet for the new UBS Arena in Elmont. There have been talks that it might be November. If that's the case, that means the NHL starts in October. There might be a game or two left at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. It will be saved. It will be, however they save ice or set up the ice for the fall, it will be ready to go just in case the UBS Arena is not ready. And from what you see, the seats still aren't in. So it could be, but you never know.
That process happens pretty quickly, though. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, brother. It's entirely possible, and this to me, it has more to do with like security and safety checks as opposed to seats being installed. So seats being installed takes a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it's not a long process.
That's the last picture we've seen of the arena. The seats still weren't in. So
but security checks and safety checks, like do the fire alarms work? Do the sprinkler systems work? In case there is a fire, stuff like that. Where if something doesn't work that could impact people's lives.
Right. Yeah.
They're not opening the building. Then the building won't be opened until that stuff gets sorted out. And like I've said in the past, that's what happened with Tottenham Hotspur with their stadium when they went to open it a couple years ago. That stuff didn't work, so they wound up having to play some games at Wembley again. So you're definitely correct. We could see, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind. And I know they're dying to say, all right, let's open a new building, and we're so excited about the new building. I wouldn't mind if they had like one more ceremonial, like if they know that the UBS Arena is ready, have one last ceremonial game at Nassau Coliseum, and let's hope the Islanders actually win this game. Although Beauvillier's overtime goal wouldn't be a bad way to see the Coliseum go out. I mean, a hell of a win.
To me, that's a great way to go out. You always want to go out with a win, any type of place like that. And
it's in the playoffs. Can't beat it.
Right. And the sad part is, brother, is once this UBS Arena opens, and this isn't like going to the Barclays Center, which was not built for hockey, and it wasn't I don't think it's even built good for basketball. Even though I haven't seen a basketball game there.
No, it's a good basketball arena. I have no problem.
But it's a weird. I don't know. It's just a weirdly divided arena. But it would be nice to see how long the Coliseum actually will last, and nothing against the history of it, but there's going to be no reason for anyone to come to the Coliseum except for maybe historical reasons, to either play a concert, or see the Ice Capades if that was still around, or the Long Island Nets aren't drawing anyone. There's no arena football coming. Or indoor soccer, or indoor lacrosse.
Yeah, but after all that, then that's what we're going to see. That's when the developers get involved, and I don't really want to talk about all that stuff. But that's when the money people get involved, and who's got the money to say, all right, this is what we need to do, and it's entirely possible that's when the Wrecking Ball shows up, and that's when they say, all right, well, hey, we want to build apartments, or we want to build whatever. There's not going to be a shopping center going up there, because shopping centers don't really get built.
No, but it will be some sort of. There's already some sort of building there. I think it's a Northwell building or some sort of research building there. So
someone will build something.
When they write the history of the Coliseum, though, Tim, and this is the sad part about it. If you go back, Nassau County voted against building a new arena. And then the Islanders decided they'd move into Brooklyn. Then the people who took over the Coliseum were the same people who ran the Barclays Center, and they put up aluminum siding on the outside. And then everyone hates going to Brooklyn on the train, who are Islander fans, because they're Islanders, and Islanders really is Nassau and Suffolk. Then they bring it back to the Coliseum, and it's 13,900 seats because they took out all the seats they put in over the years. As part of the reconstruction of the Coliseum, but it still didn't look that good. So I think when you finally get to what happens with the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, maybe it's in 5 years or something, we open a bottle of champagne and drink to the memories, because I don't think anything's going to be there for the next 5 years. And then they'll have to figure out, like you said, the money people are going to come in and say, okay, what are we going to do with this now? And there were opportunities, I won't go into them here, but there were opportunities to save the Coliseum. There were opportunities to keep the Islanders in Uniondale and stuff. Elmont, nothing against Elmont. I lived in Elmont for 2 years. I know exactly what's going on there. But at the same time, let's be honest, the Coliseum was a great central part of Nassau, and it was a great place to get to. It's going to be tough to get to the Elmont Arena, but that's a whole other thing. I know I go off on that a lot, brother, but as we get closer to that happening,
let's worry about that down the road, brother. We got to stop.
I'm just saying. I know we got other things to talk about.
I know you love talking about traffic, but let's save that for another time.
You didn't have it on the list, but I just quickly wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the accident for the Tour de France. We don't normally talk about bicycling.
We never talk about bicycling, but yes, I did see it. So I am prepared to talk about it if you want, brother.
Just very quickly, because
go.
I mean, first of all, I mean, if she was any closer to the racer, she would have been on.
I think it was a guy, wasn't it?
What?
Wasn't it a guy?
I thought it was a woman, like holding up a sign in French that said "Hello, Grandma" or something.
Let's just say person. Let's go.
Let's say person. But literally, she's on the bike path,
leaning onto the course. It's not a path, brother. It's a course.
Well, I call it a bike path because I like to ride up to Bethpage
with a card, like a long cardboard sign. This was, as far as I'm concerned, it was first of all, it was bad. Secondly, how clueless are you to not understand where you are? And I don't know exactly what was on the sign, but they clearly wanted to have it seen by a television camera.
Right.
So what happens in a bicycle race, there is kind of a truck, car, whatever, but you will have a cameraman on the back of it. And basically, they just kind of tie the cameraman to the truck because sometimes the truck has to take off pretty quick. Because if the bicyclists catch up to the truck needs to get out the way.
Yes.
So here's this guy showing the sign to the truck and the camera because the camera is pointed at the bicyclist. So now you're in a position where you're into the course, but you're not looking at the bicyclist because you're looking at the camera ahead of them that's pointed back at them. So there are so many just brain dead things that this person did. But the worst of all was that this sign, which looked like it was about maybe 1.5 feet high and maybe about 5 or 6 feet wide, the sign went into the bicyclist. And one of them, the one obviously to the farthest to the right, would hit the sign, hit the person, and then fell and touched off a crash that involved something probably in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 cyclists who all just went down and smashed into each other. And what a way to start the Tour de France. Now I heard last night that the organizers of the Tour de France and the people who actually run the race are considering pressing charges. And this person could wind up doing a year in jail for this moronic act, which I would have no problem with. Because you need to make examples of people for this. It's so egregious to me. This is the biggest sporting event in France every year.
Yeah.
And for somebody to just, first of all, the impact is enormous because they don't sit there at the Tour de France and say, oh, well, some idiot fan came out and knocked over 50 bicycles. How are we going to make it up to them? No, they don't make it up to them. Those guys lose a bunch of time. So the race could have been incredibly impacted by all this because bicycles got damaged. Riders likely were injured because there was this massive pileup. For one stupid person who wants to get a sign on camera. It was absolutely moronic.
If anything, maybe they put a rope up or something. Well, the rope really mattered because it wouldn't stop you, but at least it'll give you an idea. Okay, you have to stand back, 6 feet,
but
instead of being on the. But I know that. But she was an idiot. In the old days, brother, on Long Island, but when it used to be all farms, there was something called the Long Island Motor Parkway, and when it first started, literally there would be a race on Long Island, and people literally would be on the curb, and the reason they stopped it was because the cars were going so fast that they'd hit people or people would stand in the road or something. And they ended up, stopping the race. And I've always thought the same way about the Tour de France. It's too close to the field, or, too close to the bike path, as I will call it. So, I mean, to me, it must be exciting to be that close to something that's actually happening. But at the same time, if anyone could have interviewed, someone could have jumped in. Someone could have jumped in, and said, "Oh my God, my guy is losing," and tackle him, and or do anything like that.
No, you get killed, brother. I mean, these bicycles
if you did it right,
50 or 60 miles. I mean, these guys are going fast. They're going 40, 50 miles an hour. If you throw tacks
on the ground, they pop their tires.
No, that wouldn't be allowed to happen. But
I'm not saying it would be allowed.
You can't put ropes in there because we're talking miles of course. How are you going to put a rope in it? I mean, this is part of the tradition of the Tour de France. It is that the fans are right there on the action, and that's part of the joy and the beauty of it. Is you're there for just a short period of time. You see all the bicycles whiz by, and they're flying past you, and that's the
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that first of all, they have to find the person who did this. They have to make an example.
They have the person. They know who it is.
Oh, they do it is? Okay. Then
that person more than likely wound up getting hurt. That person got knocked into by the bicyclist, and I'm pretty sure wound up in the pile of cyclists and bicycles. So,
yeah, they had an overhead shot I saw. I mean, they all went down. I mean, literally no one could stop. It's horrible.
That's like I said, they're all moving. It's not like and the pack is so so thick and congested that where are you going to go? You can't go anywhere. You have no choice. It's like it's like 4th and goal at the 1 yard line. Where are you going to go? It's a big pile of bodies. You got nowhere to maneuver. Nope. You can't stop because if you stop, you're going to have 20 guys coming up your back.
No, I agree.
That's
brother.
what happened.
It was just very sad. I mean, for the history of watching it that close and enjoying it, and this woman or guy, whatever it was, sticks a sign up, and then boom, all of a sudden, it was something very innocent. I mean, I'm sure she didn't do this on purpose.
I don't know. It depends on what was on the sign.
Well, that could be true. I mean, that for what we know right now, it's kind of innocent. But
I just thought it was genuinely stupid. Because you know that you're right on the course. Why would you stick a sign that is that long into the path of any ride? Why not look and say, all right, well, how close can I get it? But I mean, it wasn't like the rider hit the edge of the sign. The sign was fully in the rider's way.
Well, the rider tried to get out of the way, and then what happened? The rider turned inward toward the path,
right,
and then. Because of that, everyone sort of hit.
But yeah,
he hit the sign. He hit the sign.
Hit the sign and hit the rider next to him because he was trying to get out of the way. But
and
the
then
sign,
boom,
too much of the sign was in the was on the course. And like I said, it's such tight quarters in bicycling that there was no place to go, and that's what happens. It's like I said, they're thinking about putting this person, charging them. And making an example out of them, and it certainly would not bother me if that happened.
As you said, Tim, this is very much a pride thing. Besides being the best bicycle race in the world, but it's a pride thing for France too. So
of course it's a tradition and historical. I mean, the people there know, or they should know, that you're there to be a spectator. You're not there to get involved. You're not there to mess with the rides. It's a very much of an honor system kind of a thing where you don't want to be the person who winds up being known for being the idiot who screwed up the Tour de France. But now this person will be known as that person.
Yeah, he'll join up with
way to go.
That Chicago fan. We won't mention his name, but you know who I'm talking about. The guy who tried to catch the ball.
Bart Simpson.
Bart Simpson guy. Anyway, you're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. You're listening to From the Press Box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. This show becomes a podcast later on at Spotify and nccradio.org and a lot of other places where you find podcasts. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and co-host and award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard. And by the way, Tim, I know you listen every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., we have WHPC Sports Talking every Tuesday, 10 p.m. to midnight. We have an additional episode of Sports Talk. So there's a lot of shows here if you want to listen to other people talking about sports. Well, let's talk about the Yankees, brother.
Hang on, brother. Before we go to Yankees, brother, I'm just going to give you a breaking news.
Hold it. It's not 10 o'clock yet. Usually breaking
I know, it's shocking. But it's not necessarily breaking news in what's happened, because it might turn into nothing. But Wimbledon started today, and Novak Djokovic, who I believe is the top seed, has lost the first set. So to a guy named Jack Draper from England. I never heard of Jack Draper. But Jack has taken the first set from Djokovic, 6-4. So we'll see what
set.
Keep an eye on that.
You give me first set. I thought
Djokovic shouldn't be losing any sets to first round opponents.
Yeah, maybe he woke up late, like we did. We had a busy weekend.
No, Djokovic doesn't wake up late, and he doesn't lose first sets to some guy I never heard of.
Okay, I thought he.
I'm sure the English fans. I'm sure the English fans are all jumping on that Draper bandwagon right now.
I'm sure they are.
Come on, lad. Do it for England, lad.
Those people don't go to Wimbledon.
Well, some of them
Those
do.
guys go to football matches.
There's no football matches going on right now, brother, except for the Euro 2020.
Hey, mate.
Harry Kane in England taking on Germany tomorrow. That'll be a big one.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened to the Yankees, brother, this weekend? The Boston Red Sox not only destroyed them, they beat them up silly.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was not good. Let's put it this way.
Hey, let's put it this way, brother. Yankees won 7 out of 9, and then they go down to Boston, and they lose all 3. I mean, you don't lose all 3 to Boston. Come on.
They go to the Boston? What is that?
The Boston, yeah, the Boston. Yeah, that's what we're calling you now, the Boston. The Boston.
But let's put it this way, bro. All right? The scores were 5-3, 4-2, and then yesterday was 9-2. So they didn't go and beat them up, like you said. It was 2 close games.
They beat them up. They beat them
close games and one not so close game. I've been saying this all year, brother. Of course, what happens every time the Yankees lose to the Red Sox? I get text messages, I get voicemails, I get emails, I get from the Red Sox fans. My Mook friend Croce, of course. We're down in Maryland over the weekend. I'm getting Facebook messages from Croce. I'm getting text messages from my man, Eric Drexler, who I knew when I was working up in Troy. Very good guy. Him I like. Croce is a pain in the ass. But yeah, Garrett Cole, that's your ace. Hey, what was the score last night? I didn't see the game. That kind of stupidity. But
let's be honest, Tim. I've seen those Croce emails. He does not have a deep well to go into to insult Yankee fans.
Of intelligence, I think you were trying to say.
Yeah, of course.
But this is what happens, and of course, when the Yankees win those games, I hear nothing. Nothing of, hey, nice win tonight, or hey, whatever. It's nothing. It's silence, radio silence. But I've said this before, and I said this to Clyde. That's what I called Eric Drexler for obvious reasons. But I said to Clyde, this has been an ongoing topic on the radio show for many weeks now, is that the Yankees, number one, are an inconsistent team, and they showed it again this weekend. But this, as far as I'm concerned, this is not a championship team. And there are several reasons for that, some of which are the Yankees' fault. In fact, many of which are the Yankees' fault, but some of which are baseball's fault, and that's the way baseball is being played. But, if you look at what's going on, and I will freely say, is because we had family responsibilities in Maryland this weekend, that I barely watched any of the 3 games. But it doesn't take much to figure it out that what happened here was that the Yankees didn't really pitch very well. They certainly didn't hit very well. And this has been an ongoing situation all year. When you score 7 runs in 3 games against the Red Sox, chances are you're not going to win any of those games. So that's basically it in a nutshell. The Yankees, when they have faced quality opponents this year, they tend to strike out a lot. They don't, and almost nobody in baseball does anymore, play station-to-station baseball where, you string a few hits together. Everything about baseball these days is about the home run. And if you don't hit home runs, you don't score runs. And the Yankees might just be the very definition of that expression. This is a team that never puts hits together, and it's all about the home run. And there have been games this season where the Yankees have struck out at least a dozen times in a game, and that's what keeps happening with this team. And I know Boone, Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, was talking after one of the games about consistency. And this is what the Yankees had come into the series having won 7 of 9. They were very confident about going to face the Red Sox, and hey, now we're playing well, and here we go. And instead, what is happening is the Yankees continue to take advantage of bad teams on their schedule, which is what you would expect from a somewhat good team. But then when they come up against the better teams on their schedule, they trip, fall, stumble, whatever you want to say, but they don't play well. And if you're not going to play well in those games, then as far as I'm concerned, you might be a playoff team in the sense that you might be a wild card team, but you're not going to be a team that has any kind of serious impact on the postseason. And that's where we are with the Yankees. And unless Brian Cashman, the general manager, decides that he's going to shake things up, then that's what this team will be this season. And my biggest concern is that as far as I'm concerned, there's 2 fixes for this. Number one is that the Yankees starting rotation really needs to get back to being an elite starting rotation. And not having Corey Kluber right now and not having Luis Severino obviously are problems for the Yankees. But they have Garrett Cole and not much else. And Garrett Cole yesterday was awful. He didn't pitch well at all. And I don't know what the purpose was of having an opener against the Red Sox. They had some guy who I never heard of, Krinsky or something, pitched the first inning, and then Garrett Cole came in and gave up like 5 runs in 5 innings or something. I mean, it was just so the
Yankees did that stupid thing where the relief pitcher comes in for an inning or two, and then the starter comes in so he can go deeper into the game.
Yeah, it wasn't even that he went deeper into the game. It was.
Oh, I know he didn't, but I'm just saying that they've tried this before, and I don't know why. I mean, it's not like you're gonna fool the Red Sox or get them to, is Krinsky going to cause the Red Sox to alter their lineup in any kind of really significant way? Well, no, he's not. So, it's I don't understand what the Yankees are trying to be and what they're going to be. I mean, we had the 2-week stretch when they were winning 7 of the 9, and even before that, Gary Sanchez has been hitting the ball, and he has been a revelation recently. But it doesn't seem like we've had any stretch this season where all of the Yankees' main guys, and by that I'm talking about DJ LeMahieu and Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Gary Sanchez and maybe Gleyber Torres, but there hasn't been any stretch this season where every one of those guys has been hot. And if that happens, and if it'll happen for an extended period, this still is a team that very easily could go on a 10-game winning streak. But too often this season, one of those guys is hot. It's been Gary Sanchez's turn for the last couple of weeks. Aaron Judge had a 2 or 3 week span about a month or 2 ago. Stanton had about a week or so where he was hitting everything earlier in the season. I don't know what's going on with Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres a couple of years ago was a phenomenal player. I was looking forward to a Hall of Fame career, and ever since they moved him to shortstop, his bat has just basically stopped. Gio Urshela at third base has been acceptable. In fact, it's been pretty good. But Clint Frazier has been a batting under 200 all season. You can't rely on Brett Gardner anymore. He's an aging player who's in the very twilight of his career. So, this and the other thing is the Yankees are far too right-handed. So you're not taking advantage of the short porch in left field or in right field. I'm sorry. And that's something that if you go back to Stick Michael, when he was a GM, that was the one thing that the Yankees always had to identify. Let's find some left-handed power and take advantage of our stadium. And the Yankees aren't doing that. So there's a number of things, but as far as I'm concerned, the Yankees
it all comes back to pitching. Because if you look at the dynasty teams, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, those teams all had elite rotations. And those that's where it all started. It was that the Yankees, you knew they had enough hitting to really destroy you, but they also had the pitching to shut you down. It was Andy Pettitte and David Cohn and if you go back even a little further, Jimmy Key and El Duque and guys like that. Even Clemens after a little while, but David Wells, they had top level starting pitching, and right now they don't. And Kluber looked like he was going to be that guy, and now he's hurt. He's out for a couple of months. Severino is still coming back from Tommy John surgery. We have no idea when he's going to be ready, and he probably won't be Luis Severino until next season because Tommy John surgery takes, besides just getting back on the mound, it takes a while for the pitcher to get back to being who he was. But Jordan Montgomery I like, but I like him as a fifth starter. He's really not much more than that because he's another guy who one start he'll be amazing, and the next start he'll go 4 innings and give up 5 runs. So there's that's the problem. Jamison Taillon, as much as I feel bad for the guy because he hasn't pitched in 2 years because of Tommy John surgery and he's had arm issues, but they're basically throwing him out there and saying, we need you to be able to figure it out because we don't have anybody else. And he's getting knocked around more often than not. So, that's where we are with the Yankees. And for as much as the payroll is on this team, I would like to see more of it go to putting a pitcher on the mound who I know this guy is going to win a game, or at least put the team in a position to win a game. Garrett Cole this season, his record isn't very good, but his ERA until yesterday has been outstanding. So then it comes back to the bats. And if all you're doing is, swinging for launch angle and distance, well, then we're going to get a lot of strikeouts. And that's what this season has been. And the Yankees playing the way that they play, they aren't going to be able to put an extended winning streak together because all it takes is one good pitcher and now you got a loss. So that's where we are this season. And am I surprised that they got swept by the Red Sox? Yes, I am, because they had been playing pretty well before that series. And the Red Sox, certainly their pitching staff doesn't scare anybody, but their offense is very good. And we saw it again this weekend. So I'm not going to sit here and try to sell the Yankees as a contender because as far as I'm concerned, right now they're not. And it almost frightens me in a way to say, all right, well, what are they going to give up at the trade deadline to try to get some players who could help them, who's the left-handed hitting outfielder that they're going to try to pick up at the trade deadline, and how much is that player going to cost? That's the issue. Are they going to try to get another starter, even though they have Severino coming back in a month or two and Kluber coming back in a month or two? And right. How much is it? What's it going to cost? So that becomes the issue for me. Is if you're going to give up minor leaguers, somebody like a Clark Schmidt or somebody like that, who would seem to have a future in the major leagues, for a guy who maybe has a more proven track record. But that's my concern. Are you going to give up talented minor? They're not going to give up Jason Dominguez. All Yankee fans know who Jason Dominguez is. He's supposedly the next Mike Trout. But he's 18, 19 years old. He's still 2-3 years away. So I'm hoping they are smart enough to hang on to this kid because by every scouting report I've seen about him, he's a future superstar. But there are a lot of good players in the system. And are they going to start selling off these players to try to get, for the win now mentality, when right. I still think this team is further away from being where it wants to be than maybe they think they are, and maybe a lot of fans think they are.
But I also think that the Yankees have this thing right now. There's I don't want to say malaise, but there's something there that the team just doesn't seem to have the same chatter about it that it normally does here in New York, because they just haven't been consistent's the wrong word, but there's just something that's
they haven't been consistent. That's the right word, but there's other words to describe it. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you what the answer used to be to that, brother. and I think you know what the answer to that used to be, is you fire the manager.
That's true.
You know, let's put it this way. Would George Steinbrenner have put up with the Yankees being swept twice by the Red Sox in the span of a few weeks?
No, he would have flipped out.
Aaron Boone right now would be looking for a job if George Steinbrenner was the owner.
He would be.
And, you know, if you want to shake up the team, that's the easiest way to shake up the team, is to say, you know what, Aaron, it's been fun, it's been nice, but we got to find another guy. Because, and it kind of goes back, though, to one of the ways baseball has changed. And today, it's not, you know, Billy Martin wouldn't have a place in today's Major League Baseball, because Billy was a guy who managed from the gut. He was the guy pulling the strings and making the decisions. Nowadays, everything you see in a baseball game, or just about everything you see in a baseball game, has been planned before the game even starts. You know, hey, if we need a pinch hitter in the 8th inning or 9th inning, this is the guy we're going with. And there's no gut managing anymore. It's everything is
Joe Torre. Joe Torre would be managing at this point.
He might be. But everything now is
his gut too.
But everything now is ruled by the analytics crowd, and it's, you know, well, if they bring this guy, if they bring this reliever in, then you need to look at you know, player A to be your main pinch hitter because he hits him very well. All of these decisions have already been made by analytics and past performance. And it's all about metrics. It's not about, well, yeah, I know he's only hit 100 against this guy, but I got a feeling that he's due because he's been doing well lately. Or I mean, that aspect of the game for the majority of teams, I'm not going to say all teams, but the overwhelming majority of teams, that has been removed from the game by guys with charts and computers. And they're the ones saying, well, you know, this is what you got to look for this part. And if we can get to this matchup, then this favors us. I hate that part of the game, but that's where we are.
Well, you know, it's another thing that a manager might notice that the analytics guys wouldn't. Let's say guys did really well, you know, batting practice, something simple like watching batting practice, which wouldn't come up in an analytics thing. And all of a sudden, oh, look, you know, he's been hitting the ball. I mean, he wasn't hitting it the way he's hitting it now. Maybe it's time to get him in there. So, you know, that's just something to think about, too, because that type of stuff can't be, you know, analyzed, so to speak.
Wow.
So, you know, you're right about that. Anyway, the Mets are still in first place. So, to be honest with you, you know, and since we are a Mets station, you know.
I think we determined that before the show.
I did too. You know, and even though Fischetti has picked the wrong team, I understand as, you know, Fox Sports Los Angeles or wherever he might be going soon. You know, I understand that. You know, you want to go in and support the channel that covers the Dodgers. You know, I understand that. So, but anyway, the Mets.
Well, let me just throw this out at you, brother. This is how bizarre the National League East is. Is it even as disgusting as the Mets are playing right now? They still, last week they had a 4-game lead in the division. Today they have a 4-game lead in the division.
Yep.
It's just the teams below them that are changing places. And
hard to believe.
The Mets certainly aren't playing well enough to hold on to first place, but it's everybody else in the division is just such garbage. You know, like last week, if I remember correctly, the Phillies were the team that was 4 games back. Well, now the Phillies are in 4th place, and the Nationals are the team that's 4 games back. And that's based on the Nationals going 7-3 in their last 10 games. But everybody else in this division, last 10, is 4-6 or 5-5. This is not a good division.
This is a thankful division to Met fans because the rest of the division
sure it is.
The rest of the division is just not, you know, good for baseball, but it's good for the Mets. So
the rest of the division, brother, as my man Colonel Potter used to say on MASH, is horse hockey.
That's being nice.
Yeah, well, you know, radio, brother, radio.
Yeah, I know, but
stuff like that. But that's you know what we're looking at here, and I'm looking at the standings. I'm still just dumbfounded by what the San Francisco Giants are doing. My God, I can't believe they got 50 wins already.
Wow.
But that, you know, I don't. The Mets certainly are benefiting from the other four teams in their division, because every one of the Nationals, the Braves, and the Phillies, I'm not even going to include the Marlins in that group, but every one of those three teams has spent big to win. And, the Mets have too. And, but the Mets, at 40 and 33, is the record good? Sure it is. But that's not what you expected from a team that is supposed to be so committed to winning and obviously spent a boatload of money on Francisco Lindor. But no other team in the division is even at 500. They're all below it. And, you look at the National League West, Giants 50 wins, Dodgers and Padres 47 wins. Those are right now three of the elite teams in the National League. And I'll even throw in the Milwaukee Brewers, who are playing pretty well lately. But the rest of it, it's kind of hot garbage here.
I'll take it right now. As a Mets fan, I will take it. I want the Mets to make the playoffs this year, even if they go out in the first round. I'd like to see, some positiveness with the new owners, or new owner, I should say. And I want that for the team. Do I want Lindor to be playing better? Yes, I do. Is he getting better? Yes, he is, but he's still not what you paid all that money for. So I'll take it as it is right now. But at the same time, I always worry about the All-Star break, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, because the Mets have a history of not doing well after the All-Star break. Now, does that mean it's going to happen this year? No, but it's something that's always in the back of my head concerning, if you look at their history, they play good until the All-Star break, right, or at least decent, and then it just slowly goes down. Now, they've also taken off after the All-Star break, so we'll see what happens with it. But I always worry as a Mets fan, because Mets fans worry, what can go wrong?
Well, I'll say this, brother. We talked a couple of weeks ago about this being a critical stretch for the Mets, because the last three series, it's been Nationals, Braves, Phillies, and they've had four game series against each of those. And in that span, the Mets have gone 5-7. Now, 5-7, you're not doing anything special when you're 5-7, but the lead in the division remains 4 games. So the Mets have just eliminated 12 games of their schedule and not lost any ground despite going 5-7.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, brother.
For them, to me, as far as if I'm a Met fan, I'm considering myself very fortunate by that, from that information, because somebody should have gained ground on it. In fact, I guess we could say the Nationals did gain ground, but the Nationals still aren't over 500. And you know my rule about that, brother. To me, you're not a contender until you're at least 10 games over. But
that is true. You've said that
many times. But the Mets start a series with the Nationals at the Nationals tonight, and who knows what we'll see there. They at Citi Field a couple weeks ago, they lost 3 out of 4 to the Nationals. So
right.
We'll see where the pitching sets up and how that's going to shake out. But it's been to me, for the Mets so far this season, it's been a pretty fortunate season. And I'm still waiting. The Mets in a lot of ways are similar to the Yankees in the sense that, they really haven't had everybody playing well together. And for the Mets, a big part of that is because of the injuries. They've had a massive number of injuries. But, I'd love to see Lindor really start to get on a roll and really start hitting. I could probably say the same for Alonso. Conforto is now back. Nimmo, I believe, is now back. But the pitching had, I'm still kind of wondering what's going on with DeGrom, and he's obviously had issues in terms of injuries and little kind of I don't know, nagging injuries, I guess, and stuff.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. A couple
of things, brother, as we're running out of time. Serena Williams has said she is not going to play tennis in Tokyo for the Olympics.
Yes.
Which, she's a new mom still. Maybe she's slightly afraid of getting COVID.
Part of the reason for that, brother, I don't know if you saw it, but part of the reason is because of the protocols and everything, that she most likely won't be able to bring her young daughter with her. So she doesn't want to be away from her for 3 or 4 weeks, which I certainly can understand. But that's still the world we live in. COVID certainly is not over. Anybody who thinks COVID is over, you are very much mistaken. But I certainly don't blame Serena. She's done. She has Olympic medals. She's done it.
She doesn't need it. She doesn't need it. Let's put that.
So I certainly can understand her reasoning, her logic for saying, you know what, it's better for me to stay home. It's safe for me to stay home, and I certainly don't want to leave my still very young daughter for approximately for something close to a month. So,
I can understand that.
No problem. No problems with that decision.
What about the UEFA, brother? What's going on with
UEFA? You mean UEFA? You mean Euro 2020, brother? Is that what you're talking about? That's what you're talking about.
Why are they calling it 2020 when it's 2021?
Because that was what it was scheduled to be until COVID hit us. I mean, right now it's we had a little bit of a surprise yesterday. The Czech Republic defeated the Netherlands 2-0 or 2-0. And Belgium with a hard fought 1-0 victory over Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo, which I was very happy to see because I'm a big Belgium guy, brother. You might not know that, but I am a big.
I never knew that, brother. I've known you all these years.
My guys, Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. Vertonghen formerly played for Tottenham, and Toby still does. But they're both on the Belgium team, and the Belgium team is quite talented, actually. But so the big game actually is tomorrow, where Harry Kane and England will play against Germany. That's gonna be a Donnybrook. But the weird thing about this is the draw that happened in the knockout round or the round of 16, whichever terminology you'd like to use. The England-Germany game is in one side of the bracket, and really should have been kind of set up to be the final in that bracket. And instead, one of those teams is going home tomorrow. But the other side of the bracket was kind of loaded. And today we have Croatia against Spain, which should be a pretty good match. That starts at noon. And then France plays Switzerland at 3:00. That should be a blowout. If France doesn't win that game by at least 4-0, I'm going to be surprised at why they haven't won the game by that kind of score. But I'm still picking France to win this thing.
Right.
We'll see where it goes or how it happens. But there's still a couple of teams that as far as I'm concerned, are kind of pretenders. Like after England, Germany tomorrow, we have England or Sweden and the Ukraine. I don't think either one of those teams is going anywhere, but obviously one of them will win in advance. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a fun tournament. Good to watch. Good to have some games right now. So we'll see where it goes.
Okay, that sounds good. One more thing, we got the NBA. Right now, the Suns are up 2-1. The Bucks are up 2-1. I still think the Bucks are taking the whole thing. I thought they beat up on the Nets.
Very bold, brother.
Very well, I thought. So very bold.
I'm curious.
But then again, I also said the Islanders are going to the Stanley Cup final. So
sometimes you just get a feeling, brother. So. I'm eager to see this Phoenix LA Clippers series, because actually, you know what, brother, the Suns are actually up 3-1, not 2-1.
2-1. I'm sorry, I wrote down 2.
Not a problem. But the Phoenix thing, the whole internet turned into this whole Phoenix and 4 thing because there was some fight that wound up going viral on YouTube. Some Suns fan beat up a couple of guys. It was kind of ridiculous. But the Clippers right now are in trouble. And if the Suns get to the final and wind up playing against the Bucks, because right now it looks like the Bucks are going through because Trae Young has a sprained ankle. And without Trae Young, the Hawks would very quickly become an ordinary team. And when I say without Trae Young, I mean 100% Trae Young, because he's probably going to play. But if he's playing, his game obviously relies on speed and quickness. And if his ankle is compromised in some way, then he's not the Trae Young that we know.
Okay, brother, we got to cut it off. The show is over.
All right, well then.
Sorry,
Trae Young.
Anyway, I want to thank my brother Tim Leonard, of course, as my co-host. You've been listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Coming up next at 10 o'clock, we have Big Ed Uhlans with Good Gold. And personally, I want to thank Big Ed for helping me out yesterday. I couldn't do my show at the last minute because of some family obligations, and Big Ed, appreciate again stepping in. And I was listening as we were driving up 95. So he mentioned 95 as we were driving up there. Anyway, we'll see you next Monday. The show will be a podcast later. Thanks for Sean Novak for keeping us on the air.